Hey there, friends. So I've been building a lot of small boxes lately in preparation for some Sloyd projects that I'm developing. And usually when I do the glue ups, I can just use painter's tape and that works fine. But sometimes you need a little bit extra pressure. And when you do that, you need some kind of clamps. And I've been struggling with that a little bit. So uh, I've got these corner clamps and they're just too big. Of course, you can't see that. Even my smallest square is too big to fit. Even if I go on the outside, I can make it work, but still not real convenient. This basic band clamp, I just find that is really not, um, it's awkward. It's awkward on small boxes. I love this thing on bigger pieces, but small boxes tends to be a little tricky. So I made this frame clamp. This design is actually made for picture frames, but it's got the four corners that work kind of independently. You can uh, get it close before you put it on the clamp, and then you can just tighten each one until you get it to fit nice and snug. And because we're on these steel rods, this all thread, it's easy to get it level. So if you're interested in seeing how I made this, stick around. I'm going to start off with 1/4 all thread rod, mark that out at 12 inches and cut off 4 pieces. So 4 pieces, 12 inches long. We'll cut it off with the hacksaw, round it over with the file just to be sure we've got a nice fit. Make sure those nuts are going to go on there. Next, we're going to cut a 1 inch long piece of square stock. Mine is a little bit over 3/4 inch. But we're cut that off 1 inch long. Use whatever you have. After that, we're going to try and figure out how long the other piece of the L is going to be. We want those to be as equal as we can. That overall length is 1 3/4. So we'll cut out 4 pieces 1 3/4 inch long. So 4 pieces 1 inch long, 4 pieces 1 3/4 inch long. Rip out a piece of plywood, 1/8 inch plywood off the table saw. And this is going to serve as the top and bottom when we glue up those pieces of oak. Go back to the bench hook and cut that off at 1 3/4 inches just to match our longest piece of wood for the clamps themselves. Okay. Most people at this point would go to the drill press, but I have a lathe and some pin jaws, and this way it really makes it easy to get dead center. So we're going to go in with a 5/16 inch bit for our initial hole all the way through all 8 pieces, and then come back for the 4 pieces, the 4 short pieces, and countersink a 1/2 inch to be able to do a nut. I'm using 5-minute epoxy here, so we're going to get that all mixed up. And then we're going to put the nut on there. Be careful, don't get it on the threads like I did. One of the pieces I actually got the glue too close or on the threads itself, had to clean that up with some acetone. Otherwise my nut was going to be epoxied onto the rod, and we don't want that. So I used the black star knob then to almost like a clamp or a vise to pull that, seat that nut in very nicely. So we're going to just dab a little bit of epoxy on the corners, get a little bit under the bottom of the nut, but we want to make sure not to get it on the threads. And then we'll put a little epoxy on the oak squares and put those in at an L shape. You glue that to the bottom, then we come back in and glue the top. Check square multiple times. One of the reasons I use the epoxy is I get several minutes of open time. All right, as we get ready to assemble this, we'll lay the pieces out, and you'll see this piece has the through hole. This one has the nut in it. So we'll take one of our pieces and we'll insert it in through here. and then we will screw it into this end. Okay. Then over on this side, we will insert it in through here and just twist it in, and you'll see that that locks in nicely. And just work our way all the way around. Now you have your box clamp, and this particular size will go all the way up to 12 inches. It'll make a box that's 12 by 12. If you want to make bigger boxes, all you got to do is substitute out the all thread for a longer piece. Okay, there are commercial options available, and they look to be very high quality. Prices I've seen online have been anywhere from about $34 on Amazon up to around $50 for the Veritas. They typically have brass corners and steel rod. Look to be very high quality. At this point, I'm not sure I'm going to like that. That's why I like to make these things. I like to go with the inexpensive option first. If it turns out to be a really valuable tool, I may invest in a commercial one. But as I said, you'll spend anywhere from $33 to $50 for a single clamp, whereas for roughly $15, I was able to get all the materials that I needed. That's the knobs, the rod, and I just had scrap wood. So I'm not counting that because that wood was bought for other projects. I consider that sunk cost. So there you have it, friends. Fun little project. Took me roughly an hour to do all the work. There was some extra time in there for glue setup, but the project itself was basically an hour. And now I've got my own version of the frame clamp. So if you're interested in making your own, I am going to put a link probably in the pinned comments where you can see the article where I got the original inspiration for this. So, friends, take care. God bless.